Tgsl ani thari ane jegu dosne go chugi an thanda lenge so de shan shusa diga wa ta skyen sha re thanda nganan su digi neam dike be gi ngozu phaso phata sha gu dwa ani kuch kinan zo de phata gala de ta ja sha jo diga la ke kuta jab diga la shuro na ani ta ni uchen shu chu yo mare kadine ngozu gi distance meter checks ki sha gu dwa Tgsl ne ngosta japsha ro ngozi de digala shuro na shwe chilo ni do ni sani dawa thangbe che shi resa mingma Swiss leadership primima Tgsl ne Geneva nyamde gezo ge dindang do Beijing kungge geji ge Olympic zende to shungde mena nyamshu nangyu membe 타전 난종 여백의 벽의 수도 개벽이 레고 제름디 아니면 수초보지슈 당고들랑 가서 추지 토라 아니 지니와 냠데 계속에 된다도 미만 현존 난주 되네 추지 축지다 까망가 벽 계급 침부 결로 비교다 아니 대제 벽 계급의 메리게 사드연체 계제 방법만 남기 체도 아니 까마치기 링랑가제게 안녕에 난주이 아니 다 단단 원적 제림 니버들 원적도 슬레드 쇼이
gathering in front of UN building at 11 o'clock. Next we have program starts with singing of Tibetan national anthem and a minute of silence in honor and remembrance of our martyrs.
도대 삼배 노부여 남바라 댄드 논제 야채 교회군 텔레기 로조게 돌제 감소댐베 초근 잠재용 남극가와 양대 우방공라를 분조대싱어 단계 분종처가 숨기 큰라 대기 존대 살아배겨 추세기 배윤따라 도된 초조 대삼리양 백기구시대 벨라조本中den这千年雨季，他西云南梦到朝为是，那朝门北雨里给有钱。
아니 단다 데라 우이구르기 아니 계급기 갤로스탄 비기 있음도 Dine pyo miri ki che to ani geje bobo nam ge che to kamachi gi nga che na nyangye na yu 두체나 데네 제림 숨바 별이 미마 초조 까마주이 초안에 아니 제우 운제게 송신나 유이
Welcome speech by Mrs. Kamachugi, President, Tibetan Communities, Switzerland and Liechtenstein.
Tuchina Tomate Manzu Tabe Mikta Kobe Ning Tabu Konsa Kundu Jushi Chimbuchola Kujangon to Sumbe To Taride Legu de Nyamshunangeki the Legu de Toma Europe Lumba Kachushi Nangi Ani Puri Mimangi Sotu Toshe Tang and the Utibe Tola Kurio Chidu Nambani Kongo Tunju Sum da Leje Konatsuki and the Soche Gasa Tanda France Gasa Paris la Soche Chimbuchi Nimani take Choke to Chugutube di Tone and Shundegi and Shiga Cheveki Legu Nichi Zamnayaki Shundegi and Chujoji Shana Yore, this is to teach in that Tambutse Shigi, and it tanda Chavsiki Mina Taratso, and Beijing Kikunge Kitsemi Dendu della, and Maperuchis Shudu Tone, in the Tambutse Shida, in the Yvetse Sumla Tuxine, and Shikachevin Rube, Tone Mazutari, Swiss Liechtenstein, Primima Tzuki, and the Kutishures Shueki, and did at the Kundu. Le goût Peñeto, Europe Chitu, comme qui est Angela Chota, and les Tunju, Congo Tunju, Chimilagi, Sapchini, de Camelani, Leche, Candetumlata, and the Tunju de Geneva Tunju, Leche Chosanla, Liechtenstein, Primimatic Tuki, Sokshu, Gule, Tumi. Deteshinki, and Shunde Mayimbegi, Sopa, Shunu, Toto, Dashla, Pume, Sane Pume, Toto, Tsiritla, and Subit at the Topeki, Gutzap, the Freiburgi, Sokchungi, Uti, Morella, Sangmala, and Sangita, de Pebala, Mima, Linga Chazan, and de Pebala, Tushi, Tatari. In 1949, soon after the Chinese Communist Party came into power, it began its expansionist plan and invaded Tibet from the eastern region in 1950 and subsequently illegally occupied whole of Tibet in 1959. His Holiness the Dalai Lama and over 100,000 Tibetans were forced into exile. Since then, mass arrests, torture, systematic attacks on Tibet's culture, language, and religion continued till date. According to contract letter issued by International Olympic Committee for the prospective bidders for 2022 Winter Olympics, the winner must agree to the new clause, which reads as, I quote, any form of discrimination regarding a country or a person on grounds of race, religion, politics, gender, or otherwise is incompatible with belonging to the Olympic movement. I unquote. China does not meet the Olympic values and principles of respect, friendship, diversity, and autonomy. The 2022 Winter Games will take place against a backdrop of serious and escalating human rights abuses in Tibet, which is listed as the worst place in the world for civil and political rights with constant surveillance. Meanwhile, the language, religion, and environment are being systematically attacked. As it's widely known that at least 2 million Uyghur Muslims are incarcerated in the so-called re-education camps. Civil liberty movement in Hong Kong are harshly cracked down. Southern Mongolia is experiencing assimilation by denying their right to education in their own language. Since 2008 Olympic was held in Beijing, 155 known cases of Tibetan self-immolation took place in Tibet, which signifies the worsening human rights situation in Tibet. In the year 2021, we have witnessed cultural revolution-like crackdown with arbitrary arrests of Tibetan scholars, artists, and closure of Tibetan language schools. Whereabouts of Gyendun Chogi Nyima Benje Rinpoche is not known since 1995. Almost 200 Tibetan youth in Tibet, so-called Tibet Autonomous Region, mostly below 8 years of age, was sent to camps where they were given military-like training, which contravenes international conventions against the recruitment of children in war zones or into militias. Chinese authorities in Tibet have set up a wide network boarding schools wherein estimated up to 900,000 Tibetan children aged 6 to 18, an unknown number of 4 to 5 years old, who were forcibly separated from their parents, thereby reducing their exposure to their own language and culture. Recently, the Chinese authorities had arrested a renowned Tibetan scholar, Go Sherab Gyatso, for the 4th time. On 12 December 2021, just 2 weeks ago, in Tago area in Kham, Tibetan Traditional Province, currently incorporated into Chinese Sichuan Province, the Chinese government demolished a 99-foot-tall bronze Buddha statue along with 45 prayer wheels built legally. It was built legally in 2015 and burned down all Tibetan prayer flags. When it was built, it was immensely applauded then by the district authorities. It has not only hurt the Tibetan sentiments, but also the sentiments of the Buddhists world over. The 7th Tibet Work Forum and in the 14th five-year plan of communist regime 2021-2025, oppressive policies and practices such as continued state patronage, heavily guided by the Chinese state's political goals, security agenda, and economic interests, rather than genuine efforts to improve Tibetans' quality of life, all in the name of stability maintenance. This has resulted in grave violations of political, civil, economic, social, and cultural rights for Tibetans in Tibet. China has ratified several international human rights instruments and is a member of the United Nations and the Human Rights Council. However, the Chinese laws, policies, and practices on a range of issues directly related to human rights are evidenced to be in breach of international law and other human rights instruments. This contradictory position must be addressed openly. Communist Party of China is committing genocide in Tibet, in East Turkestan, Southern Mongolia, and in Hong Kong for which CCP must be held to account. Tibetan community in Switzerland and Liechtenstein welcome and thank United States, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Japan, Lithuania and the United Kingdom for having taken the right position and timely move for announcing diplomatic boycott of Winter Olympics in Beijing. Once again, on behalf of Tibetan people living in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, I would like to reiterate the Swiss government and the European Union for diplomatic boycott of Winter Olympics 2022 in Beijing, thus standing on the right side of history. Thank you very much. Tgsl! 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 I forgot to mention about our Uyghur friends, Uyghur Association in Switzerland, who is also participating with us and will be speaking today. Thank you everyone for joining us here. Thank you.
지름 시가 유럽 지도계 원제 라네 송신난교
Speech by Honorable Chidu Ge Wangzela.
드링 안조대 Geneva 냠대 계속이 든단도 패배 전주 구잡 남바당 지도 수반 남바 다가 나시 부리 속배 초조당 초신 아니 미망 갈라 간잠지 대 패바 창말로라 통마 참주자시들의 쉬야다 아니 간조 드링데 좀 거베 미유다 고바 균세 참에 킹게 요아레 디인드 제셰단다 스시나 렉덴스탄기 초조초네 게시게와 송차소 디 답교 쉬제 고바게 통마소 디인드 소소랑이 임바이나야 드링게 니모 진다 당백에 세바 신인가 계지 용라 문에 슝다 슝제 멤버 척바 비리 척바 기도 자미 망부지게 레그이드 좀더 좀 심바래 대강라 안도 부든 잡조 척바 망부지 폐제 다나 레그 야나 군계 올림픽 제전디 강고 제거의 체도 잠불린 계지라 아니 부규쇼에게 니무지 차되고 아래 디 가르르스나 드링네 집에 다바치기 나로라 야나라 다 군들게 제전 깨다 전부디 저기 요래 저기 요베인데 야나 슝라 디츠모디 제 요버르베 톱당 요래 요 말에 이제 지금 사모 야구스탄 용베이나 초 간에 때베이나야 데라 문에 지 콘조 톱당 매버지다 계지 올림픽 레공네 이나야 야나 슝라 군들 제덴디 콘조 톱아 딜라야 먼저 문에 지 단해 멤버지 먼저 문제 슈고도 삼고야래 대체대 드링 아주 좀버레 좀만 나신 안저겠다 달랜드 가르쳐 고고 요아래 셔비나 아주 페바치고를 달랜드 제 다다 되게 요 말에 먼저 달랜드 게지 나라 원에 개갑 야당 납중 아장지 여배 나네 되게 첩식이 뻔뻔 남아줘라 고고 요아래 된저도 안에다 제모 디 강고 지투고 말rel라 강고 제네야 따다 되기 매배서 잡지래 제목라 가나 주기요 말이 이내야 따디 야나라 좀 제버디 따다 되기 민두스 제사디 노샤 세지 디 렌지테 고고야래 야나라 주기 매버 가르스나 야나 슝디 야나게 뻔뻔디 안에 가르래 세나 도미 톱단 매개 계급직 대간 나신기 시진핑 코나 임바이나야 먼저기 다 왕자 배주 당제 최대 라완 매바 도미 톱단 매바 소겐기 뽐보지 차도기 여드 자나 슝라 따다 되기면도 세지 그래 딘데지기 토네 디는 아주 대좀 먼저 잠 멤버게 불이 초반 망부지게 산에서도라 좀제 개별 난게 요래 참말로 먼저 뭐네 남바딜라 먼저게 나저다 투지치 수고해지래 당하나 임비네 아직 개천부터 이제 다나쇼게 바셀로나에 내 대차르제 간조 아주 대문에 즉 불이 망부지 점제 나저 가면 슈토바다 나저 개별 슉 첨부지 제토바 계지 냠제 계속 들라 제토나 삼버레 따이나야 제게 나저 투미 페버레 내 투미 르바 미망게 투미 대 페제 이나야 냠제 계속 들라 나저 따든다 가면 난게 망부 요래 참여지 송그레 나랑 왜네 이나야 문해지나 담미 더와 살그 다 안다가나시 잡교 초반 망부지 배 윤그레 삼제 아니 인지 깨끗하네 즉 세상나 삼제 도시 용비 다대응 아주 표본 망부지 투인데 난 벽에지는 마찬가지에 다다 대 마서 대인데 다든다 나한테 내가 미그드는 아주 쉬비에 드린데 아주 루로제네 되게 달랜데 계시다 안 사과동 안 변나라 쇼베 브리핀다 속에 즉 고토바이나 오늘 건조 샘쇼 파리야다 나한조 라완룽바 쇼베 베바초 오늘 지기도다 즉 난기도다 삼제 건조 샘쇼 파르마직 영야기 오늘 개전 첨부직 여버서서 통기도 대인데 대만도지게 안조 라완룽바 대베 쇼 아주 벽에 짜던데 제주기 예배서 잡어 아니 랑델레 땅마토네 아니 뭐네 지금 니마치기네야 내가 공부 슈마토바 내게 내단 차주고도 와 정부 슈베이나 이 개침부 차주고 요래 대인데 대패견 삼월로라 믹스하게 두지지 쉐이 다 디랭데 먼저 우골 가제게 조금 망고지 대패 요래 대인등에 던데 인지 케이크 토네 단 내 인지디 죽주지게 내 인지 간데 유매지 죽주지 토네 아니 디디지 슈차버제 슈기에 Dear Tibetans and Uyghur friends, many greetings in Tgsl to all of you who are here in front of United Nations broken chair in Geneva. This broken chair symbolizing so much. We are in front of a United Nations. Why we are today here? Because the reason and the purpose to be here gathering is to appeal and to request to the world leaders and international communities, and especially United Nations. We are here today because from today onward, in 1 month, in China, in Beijing, Chinese government will celebrate so important Olympic Games 2022. We are not against Olympic, but we are not agree Olympic should held and host in China, in Beijing. We are absolutely not agree and we are absolutely 100% against this decision taken by International Olympic Committee. We know, whole world knows that the Chinese government is a dictatorship and a violation of human rights, and also it's genocide. Number one in the world is China. Millions people, Uyghur friends, Uyghur brothers and sisters are suffering under the repression of China in concentration camps. And thousands Tibetans, monks, lay peoples are suffering under the prison inside Tibet. And also in Hong Kong, like who are fighting for democracy, like Joshua Wong. We don't know what is happening with him. Like these things, and in Mongolia and in Taiwan, absolutely they are suffering under the repression of Chinese government. President Xi Jinping, we want to say that you should change a little bit. You are not permanent forever. You are a human being and you will not live forever. And your power will not last forever. Therefore, Xi Jinping, Chinese government, Chinese market, Chinese negotiation in the world will not last forever. You should remember everything is impermanent. And power of China will not last also. And whole world is wandering and following behind the Chinese economic. Of course, economic is important, but more important is the freedom and human rights and liberty are the most important in our human life. Therefore, we Tibetans and we Uyghur brothers and sisters are suffering year after years, and there are so many tortures and detentions and demolitions happening in Tibet and in China. Falun Gong brothers, they are so suffering. Not only Tibetans are suffering, but in the world now, Tibet is not more speaking in the agenda. More and more talking about Uyghurs' problems and Hong Kong's problems, and it's a danger now that nobody is speaking out the problem and genocide of Tibet, inside Tibet, by the Chinese government. So therefore, the silence is very dangerous. We should speak out the truth in the world. We Tibetans, we have a right to speak out. Therefore, Tibetans, we must raise our voice internationally to get up and to speak up and stand up for our right. For this reason, we are here today. And finally, I want to say thank you very much for many countries in the world who have decided to boycott Olympic in Beijing 2022, and also boycott diplomatic to participate in Beijing, such as United States of America, Canada, and Great Britain, Scotland, and also Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Kosovo, and Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and also Belgium, Austria, Germany, and France. These countries are so courageous and brave and solidarity. We Tibetans, in the behalf of 6 million Tibetans, I want to say from this platform, thank you very much. All these above mentioned countries, you stand for the right and solidarity of your so splendid and dignity decision taken boycott of diplomatic during the Olympic Games in China in Beijing 2022. And finally, we Tibetans will never give up our struggle for the right. We Tibetans are not danger people in this world. We Tibetans are peace-loving and non-violence. We follow Mahatma Gandhi and we follow His Holiness Dalai Lama. The justice and the peace are our main struggle and main goal in our life. So, finally, United Nations, please listen what we want. Don't follow under the order of China. United Nations, you should recite for your own strength. United Nations, don't listen only the order of Chinese government. They will lead you a wrong direction. You have to work for the freedom of the people. You have to work for the human right for whole world. And also, we know that World Health Organization, what happened, the coronavirus, COVID-19 was a big gift for whole world, which caused million people died, and million people still living under the repression, and they're frightened and lost their hope. So these are what Chinese government have done in this world for us. So think over and over what Chinese government is doing for us. Nothing good. All really bring us toward the world in misery and more worry. So, and finally, I want to say, some slogans says that, please repeat all together, and save Tibet, save Tibet, save Tibet, free Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Boycott Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022! Stop genocide in Tibet! 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 Boycott Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022! Free Tibet! Tgsl! Tgsl. Thank you very much.
기원절라 투치나 아니 제림 축바들라 ngarazu 미마 참매냠도 캠베도 시킨지 투치
Long live! Long live! Save Tibet! Save Tibet! Save Tibet! We demand human rights! We demand human rights! We demand human rights! We demand human rights! Stop genocide in Tibet! Stop genocide in Tibet! Stop genocide in Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22
China is lying! China is lying! China is lying! We want justice! We want justice! We want justice! China lies! China lies! China lies! Release political prisoners! Release political prisoners! Release political prisoners! Tibet belongs to! Tibet belongs to! Tibet belongs to! No human rights! 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 Peggy Takpo! Peggy Takpo! Peggy Takpo! Macha Macha! Macha Macha! Macha Macha! Peggy Takpo! Peggy Takpo! Peggy Takpo! Nimani sungekyoge na perona. And Uyghur friends, if you would like to also make slogans. Penge yube.
Let the Dalai Lama!
Return to Tibet!
Let the Dalai Lama!
Return to Tibet!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 2022!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 2022!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
Stop the culture genocide!
In Tibet!
Stop the culture genocide!
In Tibet!
China lies!
Tibet is burning!
China lies!
Tibet is burning!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
China lies!
Tibet dies!
China lies!
Tibet dies!
Release political prisoner!
In Tibet!
Release political prisoner!
In Tibet!
Tibet belongs to you!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to you!
Tibetans!
No human rights!
No Olympics!
No human rights!
No Olympics!
Free Uyghur!
Free Uyghur!
Free Uyghur!
Free Uyghur!
Free Uyghur!
Free Uyghur!
Stop the culture genocide in 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 Uyghur!
Long live!
Dalai Lama!
Long live!
Dalai Lama!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
We demand human rights! In Tibet! Stop genocide in Tibet! Boycott Beijing 22! Stop genocide in Tibet! Boycott Beijing 22! Stop genocide in Tibet! Boycott Beijing 22! China lies! People dies! China lies! People dies! We want justice! In Tibet! We want justice! In Tibet! China lies! People dies! China lies! People dies! Release political prisoners! In Tibet! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Uyghur! Free Uyghur! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! No human rights! No Olympic Games! No human rights! No Olympic Games! Human rights! In Tibet! We demand human rights! In Tibet! Stop the genocide in Tibet! Boycott Beijing 22! Stop the genocide in Tibet! Boycott Beijing 22! China lies! People die! China lies! People die! We want justice! In Tibet! We want justice! In Tibet! China lies! People die! China lies! People die! Release political prisoners! In Tibet! Release political prisoners! In Tibet! Tibet belongs to Tibetans! Tibet belongs to Tibetans! No human rights! No Olympic Games! No human rights! No Olympic Games! No human rights! No Olympic Games! Beijing 22!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
Stop genocide in Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Stop genocide in Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
China is lying!
People die!
China is lying!
People die!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
China lies!
People die!
China lies!
People die!
Release political prisoners!
In Tibet!
Release political prisoners!
In Tibet!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Human rights!
In Tibet!
No human rights!
No Olympic!
Long live!
Dalai Lama!
Long live!
Dalai Lama!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
We demand human rights!
In Tibet!
Stop genocide in Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Stop genocide in Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
China is lying!
Die!
China is lying!
Die!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
We want justice!
In Tibet!
China lies!
People die!
China lies!
People die!
China lies!
People die!
Release political prisoners!
In Tibet!
Release political prisoners!
In Tibet!
Release political prisoners!
In Tibet!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to!
Tibetans!
No human rights!
No Beijing Olympics!
No human rights!
No Beijing Games!
No human rights!
No Beijing Games!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Save Tibet!
Boycott Beijing 22!
Kende sumla ne social na jui.
Next, speech by Mrs. Kandin Somola, UN Advocacy Officer, Office of Tibet, Geneva.
Ringtone pa. Europe. Hello. Europe pe miman chi tu again to je wanjela taganashin taringi legu di akuti nange Swiss Liechtenstein buri mimang ge tiksu ge chokso chewe tumi namba legu di nangla nyamshu nange bimida bedeng gyabgyo wa taganashin yugor chokdekha ge chokso da kusam namba da mimang yong la ya nge tunje legong ki chap shu je thongma chamti da da nge number chola ka me shu ye di thongma bögi ki thoni thundu ji da tini ngaran su shudu ji yu di chi mina cha digi yudu ani inge ki thoni thundu ji shuna samsung nganju daring nyamde ge zo do mi thopda Lengang gi Duntang de la ya Zom je ne Chola nyewe gi Beijing gi Oje Tendu de la ya Ngogu da ta je ne Tadi chala Be nang gi nedang di Nire Chedu du dugi yebe gi nebab di to la ya Nyamdi gezo da Chi Si shunka Daga na shin do mi top tang da Mangchu dungi wa Yong la ya Be nang gi nebab gi to la Do nembe gi to ne Tukship jik nang gu do she je ne Shubu gi Bedu Shubu gi legu jik cha digi do Dewe Milu chuta du Di nang lo la ya Gana shungi Ngarang chu be dang Be mi to la Mi ju le debe gi Tak ju dang Sami le debe gi Nar ju di Ngarang chu Be miri gi rawang gi tab ju gi to ne Chedap ka we gi Lukyu gi rangshin ji cha de yure Tadi cha la ya Gana shi shungi Be nang la doa mi top tang dori tong pa cham ma se Be ge khap dang Miri gi ngo Chame toya gi Siju Jamin ji Lakta che da chumi gi Tadi chala ya netang Zata gi netang ji cha de yure Dusub gi netang dang Jakbi gi koyu Kanda shi yumin la ma de ba Ngarang su shili be mi nam ne Ningdob la shumba mebe to ne Kokpe nang la me bargi yoba ine Kani duwa ma dun che che ne Be miri gi Ngo chumbe ki Rang miri gi jinji Rikshung da Be gi chu Yugom So Zame Tata gana shungi nire zame tongi yobe gi Siju di dakbi wo la ya Miri gi ngo sungyob che che ne Ningdob la shumba mebe to ne Tata ngarang so Be miri gi tabzu di Sombo ne de yore Ngarang so jinje rawang la yobe Bimi che ne Rawang Long suje be to ne Rawang Tenda denbe gi to ne Majo gi rawang da samjo gi rawang Taga nashi Duzom gi rawang da zhong gi rawang Tenda denbe gi to ne Long suje je ne Shili bimi nam gi Mingde chunbe gi dinsa bachik je goya dang Ngarang so Be da be miri gi rawang gyarsu gi tabzu di Geji gi tingsa cheta chuksum kanti chi yoba yine Chacha urur gi to ne Ya lang tuya chik dang Be miri gi tabzu de Chuk kyong tuya di Ngarang so rawang lungba la yobe jinje bimi nam gi Torta mebe gi Ngarang so gi lenge chi cha de go le Lenge di Nire Ngarang so miri ngori gi Kuma chi je ne Ngarang so be miri gi ngowo da Rawang Kyarsu chi ya gi Legu di gi ngowo da kajo di Manor je ne Nuba nyambung gi to ne Dokse chik di dang Hyang madang ro na she je ne Tari ngan so legu gi Kogab di gu je ne Bugu ji shunde chung so Tadunde Chino gongsa gyamgyu chumbucho Kuzi yurin tenpa dang Pyogi denta Nyurtu sewe gi Melam che tuji che Tam ngarang so Shudu jesa da Shubyo jesa di Chi miri ji cha digi du Inge gi to ne Tundu ji shuna samsung In a month from today The Winter Olympics game 2022 is taking place in a country that challenges democratic values and universality of human rights. The Chinese government, the host of the Winter Olympic Games 2022, has consistently failed and repeatedly violated every aspect of the fundamental rights enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Despite China's violent and relentless persecution of people of Tibet, East Turkestan, Southern Mongolia, Hong Kong, and other parts, China was yet again chosen to be the host of the Winter Olympic Games 2022. when China was offered the opportunity to host the Summer Olympic Games of 2008, the international community hoped and looked upon China that this kind of engagement through international multi-sports event like Olympic Games, this would actually help make China a responsible global partner that respects democratic values and human rights. However, since 2008 Olympic Games, the situation in Tibet and regions under China's control has deteriorated significantly. Any form of peaceful expressions by Tibetans, Uyghurs, Southern Mongolians, Hong Kongers against the denial of human rights and against the denial of right to live with human dignity without fear. The Chinese government has responded to these peaceful expressions of people and thought of people with severe and further repressive measures. From arbitrary arrest to enforced disappearances, and from incommunicado detention to severe crackdown on human rights defenders and social rights advocates. China has gone too far to suppress the voices and the thoughts of people. Since 2009, over 155 Tibetans in Tibet have self-immolated, burned themselves alive in protest against against Beijing's persecution of Tibetan people, its culture and identity. In Tibet today, even talking about the importance of learning Tibetan language is a crime. In less than just 6 months, from July to November last year, at least 5 remaining Tibetan medium schools were demolished, were severely cracked down and shut down by the Chinese authorities. Recent research report has revealed a very disturbing findings that Tibetan children as young as age 4 are removed from their families, from cultures, from identity and from their community under colonial system of boarding schools that is actively taking place and practices by the Chinese government in Tibet. Tibet's 11th Panchen Lama, Gendun Chögying Nyima, has been missing for now 27 years. So the list of human rights violations committed by China is long. It's long. So what China is doing in Tibet is not just violations of human rights. China is actively and effectively diluting, dissolving, and destroying every trace and roots of Tibetan culture and identity. So the very existence of Tibetan as a people with its centuries-old Buddhist traditions and culture and language is under severe threat under the Chinese Communist Party. Tibetan people have undergone untold sufferings since the Chinese occupation of Tibet. In light of these deteriorating and separation by China, however, at the other end of corner, it is uplifting to witness scores of democratic countries from United States to the United Kingdom, from Australia to Canada, Belgium to Lithuania to Japan. They have moved beyond complaining and expressing concerns over the dismal human rights record of China. They have taken an action, a timely action, deciding no officials from these governments will attend the Winter Olympic Games in Beijing 2022. These democratic countries have ensured the record has been made. The record has been made clear and straight that unless the situation in China and regions under China, including Tibet, East Turkestan, Southern Mongolia, Hong Kong, is improved, Beijing is not the right place to host the Olympic Games diplomatically. Therefore, we hope the other leaders and all stakeholders involved will monitor and assess the ground situation, heed the voices of victims, and place human rights at the core in any bilateral and multilateral relations and events like Olympic Games. We urge the world leaders to do businesses that do not violate human rights, do businesses that do not challenge democratic world order, do businesses and engage with China economically, politically, and diplomatically that upholds and engage in a way that upholds truth, trust, and transparency. Thank you.
간디솜라 투시나 제름 팀바 첩시 죄수가 구샵 tundu wanje chone and sungshe nanju
Speech by Tundu Wanjela, former political prisoner and boycott Beijing Olympic movement.
아니 토말 보통 자주로 남보통 다난쟁게 아니 신정기 아니 빈다 남바 다난제 보루 빈다 참말라 아니 센터타스딜로 쉐이 단일 또 뉴스 장님이 군도 올림픽 때 자나라 추조요리 당가라이나 다난쟁기 단일 또 제기 다 올림픽 당료요 지금 미치 딘데 손자 다 수수기 니또 뉴스 자치기 지다 직진이 아니 다 보통 고충기 링크 아니 유로노라 고츠니 아니 파렌스닌도시 고츠요리 다다는 생기 다 존재 문화당 내용문화 아니 지 다 서고바 딘데 몽부치라 투니 아니 보는 게 루아미 도당당 자적니당 아니 차차지 쉬하기 국회 정소 다는 생기 다 산이 수수기 다 제치 어제 촉박이 아니 겐즈 디줄라 투니 아니 다는 생기다 올림픽 때다 자노니 초약이 도당 자원이 매와 아니 주랑족에다 신텐지고요와 계시 신텐지마 들어이나 다는 생기다 산이 사자전다 지금 지우적고요와 이 먹고 견도는 동바이 다이나 어제 초바 다 몸부시 당알도시 토약이 국회 종요 말이 다디 하정게 로팽구야지 다 국회 제마텔라 마티바 아니 크로즈고 리코나나 기스체니 네 다나징게 다녀시야라 되요 다나징게 다 수수 산이기 다 보르핀다 몸부치라 누시 투니 여 두런지야 아니 가족이 다 보통 링크기 코니양 지금 저한테 고 진짜 몸부정소 다 산이 몸부치니 다 보바 게 링크는 다 보바 년수지고 매바 다 진짜게 강에 다 사제 몸부치라 진송기 누다 나랑다오이나 사제 가wan 두이나 다 보바 주지니 아니 목구지 쉬고요리 다 게임이 몸부기 주랑기 주랑다 국회 갖고 요리 국회 어디 삼바 주랑이 딘데 목구지 땅스나 아니 야고 요사리 에스는 딘데 미 몸부지 정송 다 딘이 삼방이 다 가디 게 목구 던고 요시나 땅 아주 슬로라 요니 디주 다 저가롱반다 요리 아니 수수 다보 질질 모멍게다 전체바 인스고리 단 전체바이다 아주 가르치고 그리 아주 수도적고 요리 링급이고 요리 보는 자tak이 니츠디 뜻지고 요리 이 아주기 링게 주치 딱 같이 가르치기도 딱 아주 너무나 강해 되기도 다 딘데기 가자치 용기도 딱 우리 너무나 강해 오는 키워 말이야 너무나 강해 마용바 수수 대시 대요지 동다 뒤주라 가리져야 다 동나 말아 가리 타니 요 말와 너무 정말로 요리 런지미 소통이 뒤주라 너무 요와 마시 지미 보고 요리 중간한 중이 뒤주라 너무 요와 마시 지미 보고 요리 시진친 대반 진짜 대반이 좀 뭐지다 녀알레니 뭐능라 그니 서지 증이수 우주요 리체 나무나 카이니 제주메비 그니 머리싸미나 주고요다 머리싸미 통고요 나중 내가 저거 봐나 문이 가서 먹기 통기 머리싸미 통고요 바데 나중 게마 크라 노메 통바이나 나중 뭐 머리 찍지마티 찍고 맞춰와 나중 지냐 누구나 두니에서 특별히 가서 정말 시고요 나중 보바 찍임바 찬이 수수는 괜고요 와 나이 너무 요다 스루나 티슈네 온디 사바 타는 지금 너무라 자는야 똑바기 저쪽이야 이찬 다음에 나 tukuna 사이 적근지가 딘지기 니츠 뭐못 좀 말이 나이나 다다나 타는 지금 동태는 누구요다 수수가 너무 두다지 이나 머리치 자면 누구요로 내가 가서 정말게 동계시 부야디 개침부디 그것도 단단하게 국회인데 나도 중기 말이 니도 적금에서 자네티기 장부 등기다 용이나다 내면에나다 자노나 따통진 줄이 두고요 나도 수가 국회지 적고요 국회지 적디 삼바 나도 국회지 단지 지구야디 나도 랭커를 봐 나도 문이기 번은 민다원이다 진디기다 독소라 쓰디요 나도 선수가 링크 피아다 저지야디 하지는 너 친구지 동고요 땅 안에는 중간만 루트 대바리 너무나마 또 루트 흐드려야 다능진기 속기 링크디기 뭐라 할리 펜 두고 줘요 링크 스록기 뜻도 링크디가 문이 나 친구지 동고 여서 나도 너무 뒤돌아 장수 중에 드라칭 짓고 요만 단 보는 게 니트스와 제두기 산이 수순이 딘데기 단적 지고요 딘데기 시제기 뭐라 뒤돌아 또 보기 찾아 동고요 말이 그래서 저들은 보기니 스로크니 시는 노아치 통고요서 그러고 지고요 봐. 다른 제보 스로키 나타 스로라 요쪽에 나서 본 능클라 특성지하기다 미모부지 비셔던 거요 봐. 이도 나서 든데 통고요. 나서 그 링크기 노아디 년차 통고요 봐디 사우로 봐. 딘데 인디 삼바 나서 정말기 문이기 메르치 자면 두고요 왔다. 딱 정말기 문이 특수지구야 돼 하중에 끼 침부 통도. 아니 같이 뭐부지 시험면 근데 타난진 게 아니 무슨 차이가 예 아니 토마 다 타동때라 다저 텐진진 봐 우리 그자 이런 유야다 타난진 게다뭐 저가 토마토니 아니 보스니가 보스시니가 년년도 단조 소위 다시만도 쉬어야 아니 도치나 구샵 아 되는 완전히 라 도시나